Hi everyone and welcome to Mount Panorama Bathurst for the mini endurance race of the Dunlop series. For the first time in 15 years, these cars have their own opportunity for their own Mount Panorama Classic. It's a 41 lap race, it's 250 kilometres and it's really important for a range of drivers, none more so than Paul Dumbrell and Ash Walsh. They are just 4 points apart coming into this weekend. There's 300 points on the line to win this race, where co-drivers are optional. Not too many teams have elected to take up that option, so a lot of the drivers will be on solo duty for this race. I can't wait to see how this plays out. Cars heading out to get ready for a big weekend of racing here at Bathurst. So let's recap the season so far in 2014.
This year's class of future stars and endurance pros have left nothing on the table. When the season kicked off in Adelaide, there was plenty of hype around former series champ Paul Dumbrell returning to the series. But this was quickly overshadowed by the birth of a new rivalry between last year's runner-up Ash Walsh and FPR's Cameron Waters.
He's got Walsh up the inside, gives him one all the way through, and they're both off the road. And Paul Dumbrell, the veteran, will drive past the pair of them and take the lead of the race and clinches the opening round for 2014.
At the following round in Winton, Waters came out firing and put his raw speed on display.
Cam Waters wins in the Dunlop series, well done.
But in the reverse grid race, he was caught up in the thick of things once again.
Waters down the inside at turn 1 on Morris, who gets bumped off the road.
He's on!
Jacobson on
Down the inside, Waters is going to touch!
Waters is going to turn him! Could see that coming a mile away. Jones in the gap. Ed Pedersen the long way. It's come alive.
That left Walsh to take the race and round win.
It's Walsh who gets the job done.
When the series headed north to Townsville for round 4, the Waters and Walsh rivalry boiled over on the last lap.
Oh, Waters! He's going to have a go! He unloads him! Right in front of the checkered flag! Waters will win the race, but I can't see him keeping the result.
Walsh bounced back the next day with a dominant win.
The third race win of the season, and Walsh extends the margin in the Dunlop series. He rights the wrong of yesterday.
But it was Chris Pither who would take the round honours, his first ever in the series. Next round at Queensland Raceway, Waters claimed his 5th pole position for the year, while local boy Walsh was forced to start from last after being excluded from qualifying for missing his way in. And that was only the start of the drama.
Cam Waters, though, locks up and hits Chris Pither, turns the Osprey Coffee Commodore around. Stephen Johnson launches sideways. Unbelievable carnage here.
This left a fired up Stephen Johnson pointing the finger of blame at Waters.
Now the guy's got to learn, he might be fast, but to finish first you must finish.
In the end, it was Paul Dumbrell who showed his class as he found form at the right time of year.
Paul Dumbrell takes the series lead, wins both races, wins the round. It's a great weekend for Eggleston Motorsport.
We've certainly shown this weekend we've got the speed and we can't wait to come to Bathurst, big 250k race. So hey, a couple of races to go, so a long way in the championship.
It's been a great season so far in the Dunlop series, and they're about to have their longest ever race at Mount Panorama, 250 kilometres or 41 laps. Now there are 10 Dunlop drivers backing up in tomorrow's Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. So today's race becomes an all-important hit-out. We're minutes away from the start, so let's join Greg Murphy and Aaron Noonan.
And Barrett's, there's some tired drivers. They've been doing some sessions between the Dunlop series and also getting ready for the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. Cars are on the warm-up lap. We have 27 starters. The Armor pole position for the first time this year has gone to Paul Dumbrell, the Royal Wolf Commodore from Eggleston Motorsport. 2 minutes 6.9, a new Dunlop Series qualifying record around the mountain in this X888 car. This is actually the car that Craig Lowndes and Mark Scape won the race with a couple of years back. $500 for PD. He is a happy man and he starts up the front. The first pole for him in this series in 12 years. Remember, he's a former champion. You'll notice as we run through the grid, Greg, there are a couple of drivers who've elected to take on a co-driver. Andre Heimgartner is one of them. Steve Owen will be his co-driver. Tony D'Alberto, of course, he's in the super cheap car for the main race. He's with young Josh Keane in one of the ex-Holden Racing Team cars. And the Swede Fredrik Lestrup is the third of the co-drivers who'll be involved in this race.
The green flag is already waving at the back of the grid. They're getting ready to go. There will be pit stops in this race, a first for the Dunlop Development Series here at Bathurst.
We'll run you through how that will unfold. Away we go. Yellow flags at the back, slow away. Car stalled, Brett Hobson. It's Paul Dumbrell, though, and Chris Pither, the Ice Break Coffee Commodore that will run second through turn one. 27 cars for this 250-kilometre race. They need to take it easy. It is a long way. There's a fuel stop and a tyre stop to come. We'll run you through how that will unfold. This is the longest race most of these drivers have done. It's a long, long run. Andrew Jones in third is defending already from Cameron Waters in that NZ Ford Performance Racing car. First time up the hill, now it's about settling down, finding rhythm, finding some road and getting rolling.
Absolutely, this is a long race. There's a lot of guys in here, as you say, are going to be doing the big race tomorrow. But there's a lot of drivers in here who've never probably competed at this length of race before, and it is at Bathurst. PD leads the way. He's very comfortable. He's got a big job to do tomorrow. This, for him, is just a warm-up, I'm sure.
First time across the top of McPhillamy Park, and they drop on down. There's Ash Walsh, remember, car number 87. He's fighting for the championship with Paul Dumbrell. They are just 4 points apart coming into this race with 300 on the line for the win. So this one could make or break the championship with 1 round to go in Sydney.
As we've seen already this weekend, very easy to make a mistake. Paul Dumbrell got through the Forest Elbow very quickly. You saw the left front of that wheel cocking up. He was pushing hard. He's got a bit of a breather already over Chris Pither. He'll set himself into a rhythm. First time through the chase. Close on 300 k's an hour. They all flow through. Pedersen a little bit wide.
And the irony is it's Andre Heimgartner right behind him. They're teammates in the Super Black car for tomorrow's big race. But these two young Kiwis, they're having their own fight here for position. Lap 1 down. Car slow on a pit straight. Gary Jacobson got a bit of a bad run there, so he'll have to block that inside line. His teammate tries to go the long way around, but at the line it's Dumbrell. The margin 1.1 seconds. This is a good fight at the tail end of the top 10, but we're off and rolling in this 250-kilometre race. A change of format, pit stops. Lots of these guys have not done pit stops. They practiced them in the warm-up this morning. Each team is paired with a V8 Supercar Championship team who will look after the refueling, the car controller, but the Dunlop Series teams must provide the tyre changes. Now this is Dan Day, one of the debutants. Look like the right rear is down on the Street Fighter Commodore, one of the young guns from South Australia who is making his debut. But they have to take on 80 litres of fuel, Greg, minimum at the stop, and change all 4 tyres. And the 2 Dunlop Series crew members, 1 to do the rears, 1 to do the fronts, but it's tyres first and then fuel. It's like a GT race, so they can't do both at the same time.
No, they're keeping that separate. It's a little bit of a test to see how that plays out. I think it's a good thing for these guys. It's a safety situation as well, but giving the responsibility of the fueling to the teams that are doing it the most often, obviously the main game series guys, they'll be plugging into those cars and controlling that. And this is getting pretty tight here. Jacobson's quite slow across the top. Peterson's got his headlights on. Heimgartner's looking for an advantage. So it's pretty racy here early. A little bit of a lock from the inside on the Finance Easy Falcon. On to Conrod now.
And having these 2 Eggleston Motorsport cars running together is an important point because they are not allowed to stack for their pit stops here in this 250-kilometre race. So it's 1 car in at a time. You can see Dan Day here in pit lane. This is one of the ex-Walkinshaw racing cars. It's the car Nick Percat won with here a couple of years ago in that great fight with Chaz Mostert. Have a look at the fight here, though. Dumbrell is under fire from Chris Pither.
Well, I think he must have made a mistake there at the chase, Aaron. And Pither is all over him.
That time across the line, Dumbrell 11.4, Pither 10.5. So that is where 9/10 has gone. And Dumbrell looks edgy at turn 1 there. Remember, Chris Pither's driving a Brad Jones Racing prepared car in this Ice Break Coffee car. So it's BJR, the main game team, that will service the BJR DVS car. So having a team that is in both categories works well for Unison. It works well for understanding process in the background. Cameron Waters putting the pressure on Andrew Jones. And there's been no doubt this year Cam is quick, but he's made too many mistakes. He's crashed. He's made just a couple too many errors. This is the stage to settle it down. It's lap 3 of 41.
Yeah, and Jones gave him no room there. He moved right across to the right-hand side of the track. Under no illusion was he going to give Cam Waters. Here's a replay of the start. They get away pretty cleanly in their positions. Nothing too much untoward going into turn 1. Everyone taking it nice and easy, making sure they get away cleanly. Here's a bit of a replay down at the chase.
Oh, there's the contact. That's Macaulay Jones, who Dave got involved with in a new livery, Rockstar Commodore, car number 12.
Well, Dave's made a bit of a mistake. He was coming way too deep. Couldn't pull the car up. Oh. And reasonably heavy contact there on the right front.
Safety
We've got
car.
a safety car. Another replay here.
This is the Dumbrell drama down at the chase. There he is, a little bit wide. Similar to what he did in the main race last year.
So he's carried a little bit too much speed. We're going to see a replay here into the wall.
Oh, Marcus Zukanovic's in the fence.
I have seen that happen before.
Oh, yes, you have. 12 months ago. That's a shame. And the safety car is on the road. The former V8 Ute champ is done, and that's caused massive, massive damage. We'll get this cleaned up and come back soon. At the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000, it is all about the Dunlop series at the moment, and we are still under safety car at the moment. Now, restart is coming this time by. Paul Dumbrell will lead us away. Remember, he's one of 10 drivers on double duty in the Dunlop series and tomorrow's big race.
Green flags are waving. He's in control. He will accelerate when he feels the need. Everyone else has to follow him. We can see him go just before the braking zone into the last corner. Chris Pither sticks with him nicely. A little break over Andy Jones. Cam Waters looking for an opportunity. They all run through Haber, wide.
I'm impressed with Chris Pither. He's going with Paul Dumbrell. Cole Dunlop tyres, turn 1 awaits, and we start to climb the mountain, so they really haven't had a chance to get rolling. Here's a story we need to cover. That's Ant Pedersen, the Kiwi. While that safety car was out, he's been in for fuel. He still needs to do a tyre stop under the regulations, but he needs to take on 80 litres of fuel. Waters here
time
going for third, but the point with Pedersen is when he does do his tyres, very short fill of fuel, he'll come back up the order. Watch for car 38 later on. Look at this. Jones under fire. You can't go through there, you know.
I've tried that one too. Hasn't worked.
He's back next year, that guy, you know.
He is that guy.
Yeah, that'll be good.
He is.
Can't wait for
Still
that.
get asked about that one. Anyway, they flow through. Cam Waters managed to get himself into third position ahead of Andrew Jones. Walsh is looking racy behind. The 2 leaders. Oh, Jacobson. He used every single bit of road there as they stream over McPhillamy.
Cam Waters in the NZ car. Remember, he teams with Jack Perkins tomorrow. Jack is in the top 10 shootout this afternoon for the Cheltenham and Charlie Schwerkolt team. Andrew Jones, of course, he's with Jason Bright. He's in the shootout as well. And Ash Walsh, who has not had car pace this weekend in the infantry Ford. He's going for a
There's going to be contact.
Got it done. Hey, they had to both yield to get that done.
And Jacobson's going to get a run here on Jones. He was very slow through the apex because of that move by Walsh. There's going to be an aero battle here down the chute. These 2 cars pushing a lot of air.
And that's
And
Andre
you can see it
Heimgartner.
change here as the Falcon gets in behind Jacobson. He's going to go around the outside of Jones. He's going to lose a couple more spots. That's 3 in the space of the Conrod Straight.
It's a 2-for-1 deal there, and Andre Heimgartner picked the right one to go with. That's Aaron Russell, new backing from Plus Fitness for him in that new look car this weekend. Paul Morris lined up behind, then Todd Hazelwood, then Morgan Haber. So Plenty of young guys here. Not too surprising to see pit lane penalty for Dan Day from the contact earlier on with Macaulay Jones. This is Walsh making the lunge at the elbow, and initially Jones turns in and then goes, ooh, car there, better not keep doing that.
And he was well in there too. Made that decision nice and early, Ash Walsh. He got the car way down the inside. Here he is, getting a little bit of a gap now over Jacobson. And as you said, Peterson, they came in early, got a little bit of the fuel side of things done, so their next pit stop is going to be a lot shorter. So we'll see how that plays out. Keep an eye on it.
I'm really interested to see how this all falls out, because there are composite crews. Todd Hazelwood here putting a move on.
Oh, there was a
Morris. Oh, that was lucky. Very lucky to get away with that one. Morgan Haver now gets the run on the run up the shelf towards the cutting. Just has to lift out of it there. Now he's back into the cutting. Now he's not. That's the smart move. That was the best way to play that one.
Jeff Emery looks on after that very good evasion of Zukanovic when he was in the fence.
Right there. This is a replay at the chase. Brett Stewart here. Oh, with Dan Day. That's close. That's 285 k's an hour. Ash Walsh, championship challenger in the fence. This is at Reed Park, the approach to McPhillamy. He's gone in the fence.
At the exit of Reed Park there, coming out of the dip after the grate. He's gone into the fence, a little bit like David Reynolds yesterday. Damage to the car's reasonably significant. That is a huge situation.
That's the Matt Stone Racing team. They're paired up for the pit stops with Dick Johnson Racing, hence why they're in the Wilson Security Garage.
It's good to see Ash getting out of the car.
This could be, Greg, championship over. If Dumbrell wins the race, gets 300 points, Ash gets none. He was 4 down coming in. Dumbrell would be 304 in front with only 300 to get in Sydney. Dumbrell would win the championship right here, right now.
Is Cam Waters, they're diving for the pits. The safety car has been deployed.
And this is interesting, Greg, because we've gone 10 laps completed. They will get about 25 laps out of a tank of fuel. They're running the 120-litre tank in this car. So he won't make it to the end on fuel, but he'll get his 4 tyres done. This is a really interesting play by the boys at Ford Performance Racing. You'll see that they're using the Super Black team boom down the other end of pit lane. What you'll see now is where these teams and drivers pair up with the main championship teams of who services their car. Remember, Dunlop team provides 2 tyre changes. Main game team provides the fueling. Oh, we saw Peter Brock do this one day. He nearly catches it. Nearly.
So close to what happened to David Reynolds as well. He was very wide coming down to the grate. The rear stepped out on that car, and then he got the grass.
Yeah, that really is a shame. He's done a good job this year, runner-up in last year's championship. He'll drive with Scott Pye for Dick Johnson's team tomorrow. They were 5th at Sandown a few weeks ago. So there's Cam Waters. He's taken service in the NZ car. Paul Morris has been in. Pit lane's getting busy. More from Bathurst in just a moment. It's a big weekend at Mount Panorama. Because we've had a couple of safety cars, it's compressed the field. So for the guys who have to change drivers are a little bit disadvantaged because the field will be compressed when it comes time to make their stop. But it's Paul Dumbrell who will lead us back to the control line. Chris Pither has been pretty pacey to go with him on cold tyres. 3rd in the queue is Gary Jacobson. Then it's Andre Heimgartner. Remember, Steve Owen is waiting to take over that car. Then Andrew Jones. There's Aaron Russell. Podium finish for him in the last round at Queensland Raceway. Lots of confidence coming into this 41-lap enduro. Behind him on the road, Morgan Haber, Jeff Emery, Jack LeBrock bouncing back. He crashed badly yesterday. They've worked hard to repair that car, get it on the road. Josh Keane is 10th. The man in 11th we haven't touched on yet, Ryle Harris, the V8 Ute champion, making his Dunlop Series debut. He crashed yesterday as well. He's running 11th at the moment.
There's a lot of tired crews out there after this weekend so far, Aaron, in the Dunlop Development Series as well as the main game. A lot of cars that have touched the fence at some stage. But it's good to see this field. Strong field with some new guys in it, as you said, learning the ropes here at Bathurst. in a V8 supercar.
And you just saw Ant Pedersen go through car 38, remember?
Well, he's made some road. He's made some ground here. This has been pretty interesting to see where he's ended up after some of those other guys on that second safety car chose to go to the pit lane as well.
So the moral of the story there is later on he's got less fuel to take on to meet his 80-litre minimum requirement that they must all take on in this race. Cam Waters is not far behind him on the road, so they're well placed because the field's been compressed again by a safety car. So Dumbrell running hard out front. And remember, Eggleston Motorsport that Paul drives for is closely connected to Red Bull Racing Australia. Not just because Paul is an endurance driver there. These are X888 cars. They all fit together. It makes sense. And the guys at Red Bull will service this car.
It's a bit of an advantage to have. Having teams like that, know the cars, know how it all works, go to work on your car. Paul knows the crew. He's going to arrive there in the pit lane. They know he's going to get on the marks strongly. Oh, runs wide.
That's Matt Hansen.
Hansen goes off at the chase. Waters gains another spot.
And Cam Waters has already made a pit stop. Paul Morris has already pitted as well. They won't have enough fuel to get to the end if it runs the full 41 laps.
He's now going to get a run on Hector as well. He gets another spot, so he gets a clean run down to turn one to start this lap. He's got a big gap in front of him. Now it's time to try and make the time on the track on those guys that haven't stopped. The safety car has worked his advantage at the moment. We'll see if that can benefit him, if he can get some clean laps and do some good times to pull up behind these guys ahead of him that haven't had a pit stop so far.
This is Cam Waters putting the pressure on Ryle Harris. He's got the left passenger window starting to pop out of the side of the NZ Ford, or has it popped out now? A little bit hard to tell from that shot.
Still
there,
hanging
just.
Yep.
So you would want that to blow out, because if it stays like that, that will attract attention.
I think it already has, because you just spoke about it.
Well, yeah, I probably haven't helped the situation.
The video, or the TV shot is on that car of that window.
Car 56 from Ford to car 56 Ford, and passenger window is drifted. It looks like it's coming half out. You can check that next lap.
Tim Schenken in race control, keeping an eye on the situation. This is the fight for third. Gary Jacobson, Andre Heimgartner, Andrew Jones. This is the longest race the Dunlop Series has ever done before. Announced a few months ago that we would change the format for this weekend to a 41-lap enduro. I mean, you've got to factor, they did 2 races here last year and they did 25 laps of racing, so it's more track time for them. It's more chances to learn about doing the longest stints, because they all want to get to the point where they're driving in the big race on Sunday. Just as the man you saw on screen there, Steve Owen, is. Remember, he drives with Mark Winterbottom in the number 5 Pepsi Max crew car tomorrow as Frosty looks to go back-to-back here on the mountain. And Steve Owen's been there, he's done it, he's been with all the big teams over the years. He's one of the prime signings, and that's why Andre Heimgartner has got him in here to help him out in the Finance Easy Ford. And for Steve, it's good too. More laps in a familiar car. This is an ex-Ford Performance Racing Falcon.
Absolutely, and that's why they're doing it. Get a few extra laps, get in tune just that little bit more. So he's all ready to go. Steve Owen, he's got the helmet on, waiting for Andre Heimgartner. I'll tell you what, Chris Pivot is doing a really good job. He's closed that gap just a little bit to Paul Dumbrell, matching times for the last couple of laps. So very impressive. They were less than a 10th apart that last lap, so the gap is exactly 1 second. But Chris Pivot showing really good pace and putting a bit of pressure on the championship leader.
It's been a step up this year for Chris Pither. He won the round at Townsville, his first round win. He qualified in the front row here. It's the best he's ever qualified in the Dunlop Series, and he's keeping this pressure on Paul Dumbrell. That's 1 and 2. This is 3, 4 and 5. Gary Jacobson, Andre Heimgartner, Andrew Jones in the Freightliner Commodore. There's Aaron Russell in the Blue Falcon. Morgan Habers 7th. Jack LeBrock here in 8th in the Image Falcon. Then Ant Pedersen, he's 9th. Josh Keane under fire here from Jeff Emery. Not quite going to get that done.
And Waters is being held up. He's losing a lot of time here behind these guys. It's 2 minutes 12 the last time round.
And that window's gone too, Greg.
He's up the inside of Emery. Oh, heading up to the cutting. He gives him room. Moves out of the way, does Jeff Emery. Lets the hard charger from Mildura go. The window's gone, so he won't have to worry about that anymore. Get a little bit more fresh air flowing through the car.
More importantly, he won't get someone to pit lane to have it removed, which is why they were keeping an eye on it. So remember that this number 56 Ford, it's run by Ford Performance Racing. It's already been to the pit lane, so Cam will only need a splash of fuel to get him to the end, because they're good on a tank for about 25 laps. They need to take on 80 litres minimum and change 4 tyres at some stage during this race. So it's a real strategic play. There's no pit stop windows, there's no minimums or maximums in terms of that. It really leaves it nice and open.
This is the catch. You go back in the field, you lose track position, and at this stage he's losing a lot of time to the guys in front who are pulling away. Yes, they've got to do a longer pit stop. He's already got most of it out of the way, but he still has to go to the pits, and this is costing him time.
It's got him back into the top 10 here, Cam Waters, so he's keeping it rolling. Paul Dumbrell's rolling too. He's got the margin of 2.1 seconds. We'll take a break from Bathurst. Make sure you rejoin us soon. Back at Bathurst with the Dunlop Series, Paul Dumbrell leads the way as the fights continue. This is a drama at the cutting. Aaron Tabb loses the rear window, the rear wing, left rear bumper.
That's a reasonably heavy impact there on the rear. Oh, just lost it a turning. But he did well to get it round. No safety car required. And here's a pass. Heimgartner on Gary Jacobson at turn 2.
For third spot.
He's given him some room. They're racing up to the cutting. I've seen that happen before too. Oh, Heimgartner sideways. Wow.
I remember the bloke in the blue Falcon nearly went over that wall.
Look
He didn't do this.
That.
Good save. These are the guys that have been to the lane already, and they're having their own fight. Ant Pedersen and Cameron Waters are 8th and 9th. They've been in for a pit stop. They will need to come in again, but it will be for a short splash of fuel. They will therefore meet their 80-litre minimum, but the guys up front of the queue, Dumbrell, Pither, Heimgartner, who haven't been in yet, have to take 80 litres minimum and change tyres. These guys, who are some 25 seconds off the lead at the moment, they have to only take on a little bit of fuel and should be able to get and go.
Yeah, they've done their tyre change, so it's going to be really interesting to see that time difference. They probably haven't made as much as what they needed to, and Cam Waters, though, has lost a little bit out, but he's now caught up to Ant Pedersen. He's clearly a little bit faster. Will he be able to clear the Eggleston Motorsport driver and move up and gain that little bit more time before the pit stops happen? He's working pretty hard, the NZ Falcon, looking pretty pacey.
Just doing some sums, Greg, on where this should all play out in terms of things. Obviously, they're not going to be able to leapfrog a Dumbrell or anything, but it probably will launch them out to about 3rd, 4th or 5th. But if they get a safety car then, that closes them on in.
Exactly right. Down Conrod on lap 19. Not quite half distance. Waters looking. He looked to go to the inside. Had a bit of a snake going on there. Under brakes. Pedersen a little bit wide. Hasn't been able to do anything about it though, Waters. Oh, he's heading for the pit lane.
So, with 21 laps left to go, Cam Waters is coming in again in the NZ Ford. Gary Jacobson's in. Andrew Jones is in. So now it's about the pit crews. Remember, the Dunlop Series teams are paired up with main championship teams. The main championship teams will refuel cars. They'll be the jackman, the fire extinguisher, the car controller. Remember though, Cam is already good in terms of tyres. You can't do both at the same time. They're laid up and ready down at Eggleston Motorsport. Ben Eggleston, one of the co-owners himself, he's the guy changing the rear tyres. Talk about getting in there and getting involved.
The left front was a bit slow to come off. Lost a little bit of time. Here's Andrew Jones, BJR team going to work as well. Here's Cam Waters coming down the pit lane. He's put that fuel in and he's travelling. Now remember, the car at the front here still has to put fuel in as well.
Remember that Cam, though, will be on the tyres that he changed to earlier on, so he's got a long way to get home from here. Tyres done on Gary Jacobson's car. Tyre changes are back over the red line, so refuelling can now commence. That's being looked after by the Red Bull Racing Australia mechanics for Eggleston Motorsport.
Well, this has worked pretty good for Cam Waters.
Yep, definitely.
Andrew Jones has managed to get out in front of Jacobson as well. Those guys on the wheels were a fair bit quicker than the Eggleston crew. It's cost these guys a lot.
And now second place, into the lane, Chris Pither in the Ice Break Coffee Commodore. Paul Dumbrell is still on the road. The lead was some 8 odd seconds. But the thing with this team is, Brad Jones Racing run a car, this car, for instance, in the Dunlop Series. So very au fait with how this all plays out.
And they serviced Andrew Jones's car very quickly. So here he is. No crew outside until he comes to a complete stop. The wheel guys go to work. The jack man gets the car up in the air.
And this is a good stop. That's a really nice start.
Yeah, these guys are pretty well practiced, no question about that. As soon as they're done,
they've got to get the tyres back over the line. Little delay on the right
bit of a
rear.
fumble there on the right rear.
Let's get in here, see if we can have a close look at this pit stop. So Heimgartner out, Owen in. Now he'll get in there. The elastics, I don't know if you can see, will hold the belts back out of the road. There you go, 1, 2. He'll bring the other one over his shoulder. 3, that's why it's called a 6-point harness. 4, right to go. Now we've got an issue here.
And you'll notice too, Larko, no driver assist is required in the Dunlop Series. Anyone with a co-driver, the outgoing driver has to assist them getting in the car. They can't have a crew member like they can in the main race tomorrow afternoon.
Well, I thought they did a pretty good job of that, boys, because the other rule in this one, they've got Stevie Owen had to go and stand over behind the red line. He can't stand out here ready. So by the time you got here, what's that, about a 10-metre sprint? That'd knock me up.
Andre Heimgartner is out of the Finance Easy Ford. Steve Owen is now on board. And a little bit of a stall to get away. 2 stalls. Now it gets rolling. And he can quickly get to that pit exit line. Speed limiter off from 40 kilometres per hour and back up to speed, get some temperature in. There up the road is Gary Jacobson. Those 2 cars were together earlier on. So
he was ahead of him.
Yeah, they were fighting.
So that wasn't a good pit stop for the Heimgartner car.
Here is Paul Dumbrell, lap 22. So he hasn't got long before he's going to come in because he should only be able to get, well, we have had some safety car running. So he's got some time up his sleeve in terms of what fuel he's got on board. He's in the box seat. Here he comes, leader in. Paul Dumbrell from the lead of the race at Mount Panorama. Coming on in, waiting for the speed limit line. He's pretty quick in there. 40 k's per hour starts here. And now his team is at the far end of pit lane. Eggleston Motorsport are pitting this weekend with Red Bull Racing Australia. So let's see how they go to work on this car. He should come out in the lead, barring any dramas in this pit stop. It's a flurry of whistles in the lane to advise the lane that there is a car on its way. And it's the series leader who could win the series today. There goes Aaron Russell on the track to take the lead. He still needs to make a stop. Dumbrell on the marks. Tyres to be done first.
The crew's had a bit of practice now too, and they look pretty sharp this time around. There's Cam Waters. He's done all his stops. He comes out of the chase, down towards the last corner. There's still fuel to go into Paul Dumbrell's car.
Remember that this is the NZ Ford from Ford Performance Racing. Cam has been in.
This is going to be close, Aaron.
Yeah, definitely. He's already been in earlier on to do top-ups of fuel, and he minimised his second stop time, and it's helped. He's been burning his way through the traffic, and this is where it's at. He's in the game.
He has come out well ahead of Paul Dumbrell. That strategy by coming in under that safety car early on has paid off.
It is really interesting. The strategy is really open in this one at Bathurst, but there's a long way to go. Let's run a safety car in the Dunlop Series at Bathurst. Here's how it happened.
Did he clip the inside? We didn't see it, but he was on a very, very strange angle. He's hit that wall very early on too, Aaron.
Oh, nasty stuff. Cameron Waters, some nice pit stop strategy earlier on, has helped get him to the front. He's on older tyres. Paul Dumbrell stopped not too long ago. He's on younger tyres. He's got pace. He led the race all the way through to this point. Restart, the 3rd time we've got it rolling at Mount Panorama after 3 safety cars. Dumbrell clears the lap car of Michael Hector. That's Chris Pither just behind. He's 3rd in the race. And the Icebreak Coffee Commodore, Paul Morris, is 4th. Andrew Jones next from Todd Hazelwood and Ant Pedersen. But it's really about Waters v Dumbrell.
It definitely is, but we've seen so far today the speed of Dumbrell has been quite a lot quicker than everybody else. And we'll just have to see as Morris goes up the inside of Hector into turn 2 as well. Andrew Jones follows. We'll have to see if Waters has the pace. I don't know if he's going to have it. Too wide into the cutting. She's a bit of a traffic jam. There's a touch. Hector gets a touch.
Gee, lap cars involved here with guys who are keen to make space.
Look at the gap now. Pither's got over Morris. The leaders.
And it's hard for Michael Hector here. He's a lap car, but there's nowhere really to pull over across the top of the mountain. Jim Policina's doing a good job. He's out of the way. Hector has got them bottled behind. Todd Hazelwood, Ant Pedersen, Aaron Russell. They'll be off the rev limiter at the moment. They need to get past. Now he moves over and they can sweep on through and race on.
No, it's not a good spot on this place to try and move out of the way. He's going over Skyline, trying to get out of the way. He's done a pretty good job. Here's the leaders, back to the front. A little bit of a lock-up from Cam Waters. Into the elbow. Hard on the gas. Dumbrell, very close. He'll get in a bit of a tow. This time down Conrod Straight. Waters moves over, try to break it.
And remember, Greg, we're on a time-certain finish here. I don't think we'll quite get the full 41 laps in. We'll go close, but we'll be a couple short, I would say. Dumbrell's got car speed. He led earlier on. He did a 207.4 back on lap 21. He's on younger tyres. He's in a position here to win the race. If he wins the race, he wins the series because his main contender, Ash Walsh, crashed earlier on. He's out of the race. Dumbrell was 4 points coming into the weekend. Now Waters is sideways. Here's the moment. Dumbrell to go to the inside.
He's going to let him in there
to make it really defensive, but he can't. There's too much road there for Dumbrell to play with. Waters has not got the grip. Dumbrell's got the lead.
And that was a bit easier than I thought it was going to be. Waters got very wide on the exit of the last turn, coming to the start-finish line. Got the NZ Falcon up on top of the curb into the grass, and that's all Paul Dumbrell needed.
And you'd expect now that the Royal Wolf Commodore will drive away. It's on a younger set of tyres. Waters has done a good job. He's probably his bigger concern now is the guy behind him, Chris Pither, and the Icebreak Coffee Commodore, as they fight for this podium position. And it's Dumbrell, Waters, Pither, 1, 2, and 3. Big margin back now to Andrew Jones. Paul Morris in 5th.
Here's the replay into the last corner. He just ran a bit wide, put it up on the curb. Oh, just enough to give Paul Dumbrell what he needed to get his nose underneath into the first turn. He moved him over, but there wasn't much he could do. The Eggleston Motorsport Commodore was coming through.
This is the fight in the back half of the top 10. They've all got themselves into rhythm now for this run on home. That's Todd Hazelwood, the white Ford, 6th. Aaron Russell, Ant Pedersen, Gary Jacobson. Macaulay Jones is 10th in the Rockstar Commodore. And remember, earlier on, he was punted here into a spin in the early stages. That's been a great fight back.
He's recovered nicely. They had a good pit stop. BJR crew doing an awesome job there to turn all their cars around. Chris Pither, as we said, he's back in 3rd position just behind Cam Waters. Haber down the inside of Macaulay Jones. We're just talking about him. Gets the move done. There's Steve Owen. He had that drive-through penalty. One of the crew members not wearing the correct safety items, and he had to do a pit lane. He's trying to get a bit of a recovery going here. That all continues. The two Eggleston Motorsport cars here. Jacobson, Pedersen, they've reversed their positions. Pedersen just ahead of his teammate. Owen looking down the inside. We just saw a glimpse of him here. Here he is on Haber, teammates.
And remember that Andre Heimgartner, the young Kiwi, started the race in this car that he drives full-time in the Dunlop series for Matthew White's team. But up front, Dumbrell, last time around, a 209.4. Cam Waters at 10.5, or 10.6, I should say. Chris Pither at 10.1. So Pither is still a red-hot chance to grab 2nd spot. Top of the hill for the final time. Paul Dumbrell is on his way home. Led the early part of the race, qualified on pole, and bringing it home. And remember, we did the maths earlier on. Ash Walsh out of the race. Paul Morris with drama, left rear on the last lap. The United Ford has got a flat. And he's probably got to do another 5Ks to get to the end of the lap.
He's done a pretty good job too, Paul Morris, to get himself into the top 5. So that's pretty disappointing. Not far to go now. Last lap of Conrod Straight for today. Paul Dumbrell into the chase. Did he make sure he gets that last gear this time?
He got it right that time. Tomorrow he's got a big job. Today he had his own job though. Paul Dumbrell will deliver 300 points to win the first Dunlop Series Enduro at the Mountain. It's not just a race win, it's a series win. Paul Dumbrell and Eggleston Motorsport conquer the Mountain on Saturday afternoon at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. Great job from the 2002 Dunlop Series champ. The fight for the minors is still going. Steve Owen gives Aaron Russell a punch, and that sends poor Gary Jacobson off into the sand. Oh, can he get out?
No, that's done. He's done.
No! Gutted. He was playing his own game on the outside. The other two got together. He ends up in the bunker. Oh, this mountain is cruel. Let's have a look again. Aaron Russell covering the line. Steve Owen gives him a tap.
Oh, he did too, Stevie Owen.
Oh,
That's
no.
going to be trouble for Heimgartner.
And remember, any penalty both drivers get, so Andre Heimgartner could end up with a little bit of a docking of the points. Let's recap the results. Paul Dumbrell wins. Nice job, Cam Waters. Second, Chris Pither rounds out the podium from Andrew Jones. Todd Hazelwood, first time in the V8 at Bathurst, and he finishes 5th. Great job. Aaron Russell, Heimgartner and Owen Morgan. Haber, nice job. Ryle Harris and Jack LeBrock bouncing back from crashes yesterday to finish in the 10. It's been a big day at Bathurst, and Rihanna is with our winner.
Congratulations, Paul Dumbrell, winner of our first Wilson Medic 1 Enduro, and that wraps up the Dunlop Series Championship.
Well, certainly didn't expect that. Obviously, we had great pace all weekend, but obviously, in the race, it obviously came home. And unfortunately, it's not how you want to win the championship. But see Ash out there. But looking forward to go a big battle with him at Homebush. But it's a bit of deja vu. I think I won the championship in 2002, so 12 years ago. Geez, I certainly aged and lost a little bit of hair. So hey, it's all good fun, and now for the big race tomorrow.
Awesome job. Get up there and enjoy the podium.
No worries, thank you.
Done a great job, Paul Dumbrell. Let's have a look at how it sits with 1 round to go. 300 points on the line, so he cannot be caught. Ash Walsh second, Cam Waters third from Chris Pither, and Andre Heimgartner slips back from 3rd to 5th in the points. Paul Morris 10th overall. 1 round to go, 300 points left on the line. Let's head to the podium though with Rihanna Korean.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2014 Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 Dunlop Series Wilson Medic 1 Enduro winners.
Congratulations to the men on the podium, and they are going to be busy on the Gold Coast. They're all endurance drivers in the main game, and that was the whole point for Paul Dumbrell to come back into the series to gather some more miles, and in the end he wraps up his 2nd title. Thanks to Aaron Noonan and Greg Murphy. We'll see you at the final round in Sydney.